Ni gana tamskat na mina nask mun do team tig no kumagantig. Mina nask kumag kaksiwat sito kutagista amigo guapahto ya. Mina gisto kasoim go. So greetings and thank you for joining me and thank you for being here to listen to a little bit of my talk. And I thank the Creator for giving us another day and also blessings from the Creator to all of you. So I wanted to start off with talking a little bit about Cree culture, because I am Nihionia. I am Cree. And I come from Northwestern Saskatchewan, Treaty 6 territory. And I wanted to start out with a little story. And a little bit of Cree culture is we're supposed to walk in humility. We're supposed to be humble in this earth walk, right? And I remember I have a 4-year-old. I'm a brand new dad, Sierra, right? And then we went to go start a little fire. I went to go show her this is what you need to make a fire, and then watch it, because it's going to burn you. You have to give me a little bit of wood, and we'll stack this fire, and we'll make a nice fire. So there's a lot of teachings to this, and a lot of respect that went into this. And then afterwards, that was done. And it was just, Sierra and I that were out there and nobody else, And I had an axe. And then she was right behind me. She was just starting to walk, She was trying to keep up. I had this axe. There was this big tree in front of me, right? And I have this axe and I want to be a super dad because I got this little one, I got to impress her. I don't know why, but us dads, we got to do that, right? So I see this big tree, got this axe. I'm like, Sierra, look at this. I throw this axe, right? And it wasn't very far. I missed it. I'm sure I hit it, though. So I kind of looked around, making sure that no other adults saw, what I was doing. And I reached down to pick up this axe. And as I'm reaching down and I look, I nicked it. I did hit it. I nicked it. And then immediately there was a little bit of water that was coming out of this little cut, right, that I made in this birch tree. So I looked and I'm like, wow, that's interesting, right? And it was like springtime. It was springtime. I remember it was just the snow was melted, and it was, that's why it was really nice for us to be out there. Next day, I'm very curious at what we just happened there the day before. And I went to go look to see, was that water that came out of this tree? What happened? So sure enough, I went to go look, and yes, all the bark below was all wet. And then I went to my grandmother, Kugumawa, and she's the wisest person that I know, Kugum. I said to her, and I told her about what happened. And I was expecting like, oh my goodness, my grandson, you did something so special. Is this the first time this has happened? Maybe you have superpowers. Maybe you're going to be the medicine man or whatever, So, and then here, what she said was, wow, grandson, nusim. We used to drink this water at this time. We haven't done this for a long time. Could you get me some, right? I want to drink some of this, right? That's medicine. It's birch water. And then she went on. People used to boil it down and then they would make syrup, right? And then looking into it a little more, here I'm thinking, okay, how do we tap this tree? I accidentally cut it with this axe, but how do you actually, the old way of tapping birch trees, right? I needed to find out, so I would jump to another elder, another knowledge keeper, and say, hey, people used to tap these trees. Have you ever seen it? So this research of spending time with knowledge keepers and land users, our elders, we were privileging this space, and we needed this space. Otherwise, if I just nicked that or even missed it, probably everything that I'm talking about probably wouldn't exist, right? But they said, yes, we used to do it, and this is the way we did it. And then, in fact, I started finding out that people tapped these maple trees out east, and then they would have spiles. And then we did the same thing with this birch tree, and we started tapping it. And then we found out there's 2 different sugars. The maple tree has sucrose, and then here we have fructose that comes out of these birch trees. And then later on that fall, we were paddling, and we were also in ceremony during the summertime. And then it was this time where we were going to go call and we were going to go harvest the moose. And this is what I'm wearing right now, right? This is something that we take pride in. If we harvest something, we're trying to use the entire animal, right? Even the bones, the skin that we tan, and then all the solutions to make tanned leather, and then to waterproof this, all the different woods that are needed to make this soft. So if it gets wet, it doesn't get hard again like rawhide, right? To have it warm our bodies, right? So again, we're spending time with the hide tanners, the hunters, the fishermen, the medicine pickers, and we were just engaging with them. And it was amazing what we had found out, right? So now going back to this birch tree now, right? So all of a sudden, my uncle, and we're sitting there trying to figure out how do we teach this with the young ones, right? What do we do? And then he cut out a little piece of birch bark, rolled it up, right? And then he's calling, and we're hunting, right? And he calls this moose, and I'm just a young hunter. I'm behind, right? And then he's calling, and then all of a sudden something happens. That moose calls back, oh. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what the heck? Are we calling this moose to us? What's going on, right? So we're communicating back and forth. But again, it was that birch tree. It was making this tree to help us, feed our families, to give us tools, to give us clothing, right? So again, engaging with our uncles, engaging with our aunties, we went to Google and we were focusing in on young men, young boys, young men. And we call these young men uskapiusak. I'm an uskapius. I'm part of that community of uskapiusak. What we do is we'll serve. What we'll do is we'll go harvest the ducks. We'll go harvest the medicines, the berries that are needed for these ceremonies in the summertime so we could sing these songs using these beautiful rattles. And then in those songs, there's beautiful words. In English, we call it lyrics. But in our languages, there's stories of events that happened somewhere, maybe just north of here, maybe in this. And here's a cool thing about this. Kâniyâsihk, right? Saskatchewan. Kâniyâsihk is the North Saskatchewan River. And sorry to correct this a little bit, but the South Saskatchewan River, we call it, and the original name is Wawaskisusipi. Wawaskisusipi is the Elk River. So now here's the hunters. If you follow the Saskatchewan River right here, upstream, you're going to come still to this day to thousands and thousands of elk, specifically elk. And then up in northern Saskatchewan, we have Waskisu. But the proper way is Wawaskisu, right? So again, it's a different way of thinking when you're using the language. And then when we compared the languages and we're trying to database the different ways of saying, and then we have technologies just like these watches that are buzzing and our phones that are buzzing, right? We have in our languages the capability of translating those words, but we need to spend time with our knowledge keepers, our elders, right? So winter came, right? And I took this one program called CERTI, the Certificate of Ecological Education, through the Extension Division here. And it was right in conjunction with a BA and a BEd that I did here as well. And it opened my eyes to the beauty of Saskatchewan. We rode horses down in the grasslands. And I think we actually went to the US border and then we came back. We paddled this river, this beautiful river called Mamahtausipi, the Churchill River. The Churchill River is so amazing. And Mamahtausipi is the spiritual river, the magical river, if you will, right? And as you paddle, it is magical because in that river system, there's stories of little people. And we have little people all over the world, right? If you go to Iceland, you talk about little people, they're like, what, little people? In the fighting Irish, right? That's a little people. We have little people here as well. And then along that river as well, we have mermaids, mermen, mer beings, half beings that are all along, that are so magical. And they mark out these spiritual places all along the river. So this here, we created a safe place called kâniyâsihk. Remember, I was focusing on the boys. That lasted 2 years, by the way. The little girls tapped us on the shoulder and they're like, hey, we want to learn how to hunt. We want to learn how to fish. We want to learn how to cut that fish. We want to learn how to pick those berries too. So I had to go again to the wisest one that I know, Gugum, right? Gugum. These little girls tapped us on the shoulder. They want to learn what the boys are what we're teaching them. And then I remember her, because Gugum was standing like this, and she turned and she goes, ni kâniyâsihk, she says, eh? So she started rolling out the activities of that area. So where the camp is right now, it's traditionally known as kâniyâsihk. Very first time I heard it was when she named it. So what does that mean, kâniyâsihk? It's a little point in the lake. That place right there, right? So this is called kâniyâsihk, where we're standing. So the rollout of this curriculum that we developed, we registered as a nonprofit in 2015 through my doctoral research. And we invite different researchers, Indigenous researchers, non-Indigenous researchers to come join us in the celebration of creating a safe place where elders, at one time in Canada, a lot of these different songs were very sacred, very, very quiet. They held on to them and they didn't want to show. They would sing at night. They would do the ceremonies at night. And then little by little, we started opening up and creating safe places where they started saying, okay, here's a song, and here's a little bit of medicine that you might need, and here's some history, here's some more vocabulary for you, right? So they were creating they were keeping it sacred, but not secret, right? So this, the kâniyâsihk Miigwapa, is our first, and I think it's the only one, year-round land-based program that's a Cree Immersion program. And all of this, the beauty of Saskatchewan, the beauty of coast to coast to coast to coast. We have stories, we have sacred sites, and we invite anybody and all of you to come join us in that little part of the boreal forest up there. We're just south of Canadian Shield and then just north of the plains. So, you guys have a good day. Hi.